Happy Holy Thursday. See, I've got my spring attire on, trying to trick spring into coming. And if you've looked outside and seen how sunny it is today, it obviously worked. So I'd encourage you guys to continue to wear ridiculous spring attire in order to bring in the season. I wanted to share just for a couple minutes, on this day in the Passion Week. This was probably the night before Jesus was crucified, and Jesus is getting ready for the Passover meal with his disciples. And you may remember they've gathered in the upper room there. The Lord had instituted the Last Supper. They went through the whole upper room discourse. And a little bit later in the evening, we see in Luke chapter 22 and verse 24, the disciples begin to argue among themselves about who's going to be the greatest in God's kingdom. And the scene it's almost a little bit comical. You can imagine Peter there, well, I walked on the water. And John says, well, it was me who cast the net on the other side first. And one of the other guys probably spoke up and said, well, remember what I did? I was the one who brought you to Jesus in the first place. Well, my faith is much bigger than a mustard seed, right? They're having this whole conversation among themselves, trying to determine who was the greatest in God's kingdom. And Jesus says, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them. And those in authority over them are called benefactors. But not so with you. Rather, let the greatest among you become as the youngest, and the leader as the one who serves. And so this whole conversation is happening in the same time frame as John chapter 13. And I imagine that the scene we're going to look at next took place immediately after this. And none of the other Gospels record this scene that we're going to look at. Neither Matthew, nor Mark, nor Luke record what John records in John chapter 13. And in verse 3, he says this, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things to his hands, and that he had come from God and was going back to God, rose from supper. He laid aside his outer garments, and taking a towel, tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, Lord, do you wash my feet? And Jesus answered him, what I am doing you do not understand now, but afterwards you will understand. I think that we, as the people of God, would especially during these times do well to remember the message here. That we're not here to be served, but rather to serve. We're not here to have other people serve us or even to serve ourselves, but we're here to follow the Lord's example and to love and serve other people. And I want to encourage you sort of to take time and to think about ways that we can practically do that right now. How we can serve other people. You're probably under house arrest right now. How are you serving the people that you're in lockdown with? Are you loving them? Are you ministering to their needs? Are you putting their needs above your own right now? How about your community? How about the people that you're online with? Just something to sort of think about and consider on this Holy Thursday. How can we emulate Jesus better? How can we follow his example better and serve others? Anyway, I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you later. God bless.